We just hit. All right, cool. All right, guys. Well, thank you so much for being here. I'm really excited about this training webinar, whatever you want to call it, that Joanna and I are going to be doing for you tonight. I would say this stemmed from Joanna and I were having a phone conversation, as we regularly do, because we talk a lot. Maybe about a week ago, right? Maybe a week and a half ago. And Joanna was talking to me about something to where she was like, I think a big problem that a lot of agents have is they just don't really, they have no imagination, right? They have no ability to dream and dream big dreams, right? To be, and really, there's a lot of technical stuff. There's a lot of technicalities of being successful in the insurance business, but really at the end of the day, you have to have some kind of driving force, right? Some kind of motivation that gets you out of bed in the morning. And that's really what drives, I think, everybody that's a self-starter. People ask Joanna every single day, you know, how do you do everything that you do on a day-to-day basis? People ask me that as well. And it comes from, I believe, a deeper purpose for what you're doing. And so, Joanna, I'm going to turn it over to you and let you kind of just wrap for a little bit on this. And then I have plenty I want to say, but I don't want to steal the show or anything like this, because I think you articulate yourself so well at this topic. And I just wanted to kind of let the group kind of hear what you have to say.
I'm sorry, if everybody could just mute themselves, because every time your sound turns on, it shifts the camera and everything. But what Christian and I were talking about is a lot of people in our industry, they're struggling. And a lot of times I think they're struggling because they don't focus and they don't have any, hey, Carmen, can you turn your sound off? They don't have any reason to get out of bed. They want to work, and then they just don't know what to do next. And they get distracted by all this stuff, all the noise. Anyways, a lot of people ask me, hey, Joanna, like, how do you do insurance? How do you mentor 400 agents? How do you make your boyfriend and kid meals every day? How do you manage Canadian Bacon, which is my second business? And how do you still have time to travel and everything? And a lot of it is, I came from a very bad environment at Social Security. Working for the feds, everybody thinks it's a nice, cushy office federal job, and it kind of is until you're getting screamed at all day. And my goal when I quit there 2 years ago, just over 2 years ago now, my goal was to stay self-employed every day. So every day I wake up and I say, okay, I got to earn my keep and make sure that I'm earning the salary that I walked away from or higher. So I never have to go back to a job like Social Security where I have to clock in or ask somebody for vacation time or ask somebody for sick time. Like, I went to Hawaii. I took my mom to Hawaii this past month, and I was gone for 10 days. And my agents, they were like, why are you online? Stop responding to us. They really were like protecting my time and like telling me to leave them alone. It was such a blessing to be able to do that. And so, I mean, one thing that I tell everybody to do is make a schedule and stick to it. You will get lost. Your day will disappear if you spend the entire day text messaging all of your friends and watching TikTok and then watching everybody's training videos during business hours. Like, during business hours, I am not watching, Justin Brock's How to Sell Dental video. That's for 8:00 at night. Like, income producing hours, I'm prospecting. If I'm not prospecting, I'm actually doing something actively with an agent so they can close a deal. So if from 9:00 in the morning until 6:00 at night, that's when the deals are done. Like, all of my work is about deals. So it has to be about an app or about helping someone else close an app. I'm not sitting there, unless I'm hosting training myself, but I'm not sitting there trying to figure out how to do Forrester's EAP, in the middle of an income producing hour. I'm doing that late at night so I can focus on the income producing hours. So my goal, Christian, you see what's behind me?
I can. Yes.
Can. So everybody's goal is different, right, Christian? And some people think my goal is to be the queen of gummies. And I do I do have that title, Queen of Gummies, for Delta 8 Canadian bacon gummies. But my actual goal is to get enough money where I feel I can walk away and just do Medicare from September until December each year and just chill on the beach in Costa Rica the rest of the year, hopefully with my family, So like my goal is different than your goal, and it might be different than Brian Carter's goal and Carmen's goal. Everybody has a different goal, but my vision of my life is to have enough money where I can travel the world and just work in AEP and have a whole team here stateside answering the phones for, whatever Miss Jones needs, or she ran out of dental and she wants to change plans, or her, Humira's not on the new plan or whatever. Like my goal is to not answer the phone in a couple years, my goal is to just be chilling on the beach, enjoying life, because I think we spend so much of our lives working and not enjoying the actual life, when I got sick in the military, I made sure I had a degree, I could do a job, if I couldn't sit up. And now I have a career where I can sell insurance from bed, and I have on days where I'm not feeling well. But my goal by the time I'm 43, I have 5 years left. I'm clocking out. You find me at a beach with a Mai Tai in my hand. And so that's what we were talking about. It's just like dream enough. So like, next year I have my AEP goal. I'm a full-time producer in AEP. And my AEP goal is to make enough to put a down payment on a new house, a substantial down payment. And I also want to get laser vision done on my eyes. And I also want to get my upper teeth fixed. I need some veneers. And so like that, I need a lot of apps for that, right? I need to be selling the hospital indemnity for that. I need to be asking for the cancer for that. And so it gets me out of the comfort zone, because I'm a very shy person, right? I used to be very like, hey, Christian, do you need this? To be like, oh, I already took care of that. Okay, have a good day, like, and I'm just, getting uncomfortable making the sales, because that's where the growth is. The growth is when you become uncomfortable and extend yourself, right? And so everybody's getting hospital indemnity and cancer this year. Everybody, because I need a new house, with a pool. And a fire pit. But back to you, Christian.
Yeah, that's great. And thank you for sharing all that, Joanna. I mean, I think for me, guys, Joanna hit it right on the head. Guys, mute yourself. All right, or I'll do it for you. So I would say, guys, Joanna hit it right on the head, that every single person in here is going to have your own unique dreams and desires, right? One thing that I've always believed in is, if you're going to dream, do it right? If you're going to have goals, have big goals, have extravagant goals, and don't worry about if they might seem unattainable for you. That is not really what matters. What matters is that your life is exciting, right? Your life is fun, right? For me, like Joanna does a billion things every single day. For me, I run 2 YouTube channels, Facebook group, 2 podcasts, an agency. I have employees. I have 100 agents across the country, give or take, that we work with and do our best to service and take care of. There's a lot of things on my plate. I'm married. I got a little girl, right? Like it's just never ending. It's just chaos all the time. And what keeps me going is, for me, like when I started in this business when I was 20 years old, I told my dad this, and he kind of like mocked me for it. I told him, I was like, I want to make $1 million a year by the time I'm 30. And that was my big goal, my big aspiration. I'm 29 now. I have a year left to go. And it's a very good possibility that we'll do that next year by the time I'm 30. Like we're close. And to me, it's just breaking through barriers is what makes life exciting, right? When we're going to be dreaming, we're not supposed to dream in black and white, right? We're supposed to dream in color, because it's one of those things that makes life worth living. If you're getting up day after day after day, talking to clients, and you don't have any big ambitious goal that you're chasing, it's going to seem very tedious. It's going to seem very repetitive. And it's going to basically put you in a mindset that you're just on the hamster wheel and there's no bigger purpose, right? You're going to feel like you're in a 9-to-5. And your business should never feel like you're in a 9-to-5. Your business is the vehicle to your dreams, to your goals, to what you want your life to look like. It's the vehicle that's going to take you to a place where you can design your own lifestyle. Like Joanna was saying, if you want to spend, a majority of your time on the beach, you're able to do so. You can live anywhere, you can do anything. Our business is one of the rare businesses where you can really structure your lifestyle. And I personally feel like it's definitely right up there at the businesses that you should be the most excited about if you're involved in it, because the potential is unlimited. I remember when I first got started in the business, I asked my dad, and I was a very young, naive agent, right? I asked my dad, I said, what's the most you think I can make a year as an agent? And he said, oh, I don't know, maybe 500 grand. Because my dad made probably 300 to 500 grand every year my entire life, right? As long as I can remember. So I think the most he ever made a year personally from his personal income was about 500 grand. And so that was exciting to me, but it was also something where I felt a little bit discouraged and a little bit demoralized, because I kind of went forward for years thinking that I had this cap on what I could do. And it kind of, it didn't, I wouldn't say it crushed my spirit, because I always worked really hard, but I didn't work as hard as I do today. Because now I understand the potential. And I understand that there is no ceiling to what I can do. There's no ceiling to what my company can do. And we're in such a great business, a great opportunity. As many agents as there are out there, it's underserviced. It really is. There's really, and I mean, it might seem like you guys have all kinds of competition, but you really don't in comparison. Like, imagine being a real estate agent. There's more real estate agents out there than there are houses on the market to sell, right? It's just, I would so much rather be doing this than doing something like that with the passive income capabilities. So I just really feel, guys, that what I would encourage all of you to do and take away from this, and I'm going to turn it back over to Joanna in a second here, because what I kind of had in mind is we go back and forth, because I'm sure we can kind of feed off each other, because I know we've that's what we've done in the past. But I would encourage you guys at the end of this, if you're not doing so, might sound cliche, it might sound cheesy, but it's probably, I've learned the last couple of years that if something sounds cliche, it's probably because it's true, because you hear it over and over again. You guys should be writing your goals down, looking at them every single day. And you should not be afraid to put big goals down, right? Monster goals, huge goals, so that way it keeps you motivated and it keeps you excited. You should be excited to get out of bed in the morning, because you're moving one step closer to that ultimate goal, and that's chasing the life you want to live. And yeah, guys, I think, a lot of people say it, but I'll just reiterate it. Like my target is, I'm always trying to write my goals down before I go to bed every night. That's the last thing I do before I go to sleep. And I'm successful most nights at doing that. And I feel like the days that I do it, I wake up the next morning with a new sense of rejuvenation. And your goals and dreams should be growing and changing as well, right? You grow and change as people. We all do. We evolve. We get better. We have different desires. Once we break a barrier, then we're like, okay, I wonder if I can break the next barrier. And that progress is what makes life exciting. And so I would just encourage you guys to just really have that mindset and the mentality. It's going to help you out a lot in your business. I'm going to turn it back over to Joanna.
All right. So what I like to do is take my big goal and break it down to how I can achieve it. All right. So if you need to buy a house, for example, and the houses here are going for about 300,000 thanks to Californians who moved into Georgia and like crazy raised all of our prices up, right? Like I used to be able to buy a house here for like 200, now everything's going. So anyways, let's say I need a $300,000 house and I need 20% down. I don't even know what that is because I can't do math in my head anymore. But so let's say my main thing is I want to walk away from AEP with a baseline of 50,000 in AEP commissions. And so I break it down. How many apps do I need to write to make $50,000? And most agents would be like, all right, so 50,000, let me bust out my calculator. 50,000 divided by 50,000 divided by 279, I don't know what the new rate is 179 apps. But, and that's a lot of apps. But if I take away the tunnel vision and say, well, actually, I could probably do 100 MAPD apps and 50 cancer apps and 25 hospital indemnity apps and sell some life insurance in there too, and maybe even a couple of annuities, because my new favorite question when I get retirees is, okay, so you're leaving your group and you're losing your group insurance, right? And you're losing your dental insurance. Okay, did you have your life insurance there too? Did you have a retirement account there too? And just asking more questions to get more business. I think a lot of agents are afraid of asking questions, so they're not making their goals. And that I'm talking about me when I'm saying this, because I was so scared to ask for someone's business. You know, I would just be like sticking to the Medicare only. I was so scared to ask them if they wanted a hospital indemnity because I thought that they would pull away, cancel everything, you know? And so now I'm asking about everything, because if you sell like 10 life apps in AEP, I mean, that funds your entire AEP and keeps everybody happy for Christmas, right? And so just making smaller goals, you know, I want to lose weight. I don't need to lose weight. I need to lose weight, but I want to lose weight, right? I used to be a tiny, thin little girl. And so instead of saying, hey, I need to lose, 100 pounds before I speak at Christian's event next June, I say, okay, I need to break it down to, I'm going to lose 12 pounds a month. Okay, so then in order to break it down from 12 pounds a month, that's 3 pounds a week. What do I need to do to lose 3 pounds a week, right? And it's the same thing in business. You break it down to a weekly and daily goal. In order to lose 3 pounds a week, I need to get out there and do 30 minutes of exercise, right? So in order to get your $100,000 year or your 50,000 AEP, or whatever your goal is, you break it down to daily. So I need to see 6 people a day to make that goal. How do I get 6 people a day? I need to buy how many leads, right? Or if I don't want to buy leads, and I hope you do buy leads, because leads is the fastest way to get a return of investment in this business. People who don't buy leads, you're going to be pounding the pavement a whole lot longer. I'm just being honest with you. I know some girls, and most of the time it's a rev up. Buying leads is the fastest way to see the people, right? Well, if you don't have money to buy leads, guess what I would be doing? I would be going and donating plasma. I would be selling my PlayStation. I would be selling some shoes on Facebook. Like there's ways to buy leads. The 400 agents, I talk to agents all day, and they say, well, I don't have money to invest in my business. And I say, you should find some money to invest in your business. Go sell something. Go do something. Go drive Uber for a day. Get $150 driving Uber, then you have $150 for leads, right, Christian? Like make the money happen. Go work for, Home Depot for $15 an hour, 10 hours, that's $150, right? Like do something to find the money to invest in your business, because the dreams, I don't know about you guys, but I was watching a TikTok about our education system and why it's structured the way it is. And they were saying that it's structured the way it is because during the revolutionary time, they needed skilled workers to be able to read at a 5th grade level. And that's why our education is like that. But they were taught to go to school to get a job, to work for 40 years. I don't want to I already went to school, but I don't want to work for 40 years to die and be sick at 65 and on watching Days of My Lives at 65, and that's my life, you know? I mean, we visit all these seniors and their lives. The ones that didn't invest any money, they're sitting there with nothing to do all day for years to come. And my dream is to be having my ties for years to come, you know? Yeah, find 1 million rollover and there's your down payment. That's exactly it. I might need to break that down. Down here in Georgia, people don't really have a 1 million. I might need to do that into like 3 different people. But yeah, find 1 million annuity and break it down. So asking for the business, Christian. I mean, I think that's where a lot of agents, I'm trying to make this work related and not just dreaming about my beaches in Hawaii. But you know, people ask me, well, how do you afford to go to Hawaii every year? I work hard, and that's my thing. You know, Christian's thing. What do you like to buy? You're not the Rolex guy.
No, I've never been. I don't understand it. Right. I wouldn't know what to buy. I'd probably waste my money on something and like, it'd be a piece of garbage and I wouldn't know it. Like, that's just not me. Like for me, what I love is I love traveling. Right. Yep. I'm with you on that. I love going on trips and vacations. And really, I don't go on a whole lot of them. I'm more just kind of saving it. But my second year in the business, and I got I'll bring it back to some work related stuff in a second too. But, my second year in the business, I remember it very vividly. I was 21 years old, and I had a really good friend of mine who was an agent, who's still an agent, who was from Malaysia. And he went back to Malaysia every couple of years at that point in time to see his family, his grandparents, that kind of stuff. And he wouldn't go for just a couple of days. Like if any of you guys have ever done any kind of major international travel like that, you know that to make it worth the trip, you go for like 3, 4, 5, 6 weeks at a time. So I went with him. He invited me to go with him for a month, and I went with him for an entire month, just in the middle of the year. And at that point in time, I think I was making $5,000 a month in my business. So I didn't have a lot of bills. I wasn't married yet. Like I didn't have any kids. At that point I was living in an apartment. So I could do it, and I didn't miss a thing. And I spent so much damn money on that trip. You had no idea. Like I had to get another suitcase and check it to bring all the stuff back I bought, the souvenirs and everything. But we spent most of the trip, probably 3 weeks in Malaysia, just touring the entire country. I saw almost the entire country, every major city, villages. I got to experience the culture. We got to spend some time in Singapore, brief time in Japan, brief time in Hong Kong. That stuff is cool. You know what I mean? Like that stuff is cool and it's fun. And I could afford it at the time. Right. So like that kind of stuff to me is really exciting. Mm-hmm. I like to go on trips. I like to travel. I love to go out to eat. So I spend a ton of money going out to eat. I probably spend $1,000 to $1,500 a month going out to eat. But me and my wife, we go out to eat all the time. Like I just like to being able to go out and do things and not having to worry about money. Right? I value that a little bit more just personally than material stuff. Mm-hmm. But to kind of piggyback on what Joanna was saying, guys, like you just need to get creative, right? Because when you get creative on your goals and your dreams, and then you really start figuring it out, right? Crunching the numbers on what it's going to take for you to actually hit your goal and what you're going to need, right? It starts to become more real. And it gets more exciting when you actually see a pathway. Because it's easy for someone to say, I want to write 300 apps, let's say this AEP. Like you can say that, but then if you don't know how you're going to do it, it's just excitement that just dies down because you get discouraged. You just don't know, you're like, how I'm going to do that, right? And so I would say the main thing is being able to break down your goals into bite-sized chunks. I was doing a pre-AEP webinar a couple of weeks ago, and I told people, I'm like, determine how many apps you want to write. And based on that, break it down into how many you have to have per week during AEP, right? Because during AEP, we're looking at maybe between a 7 and 8 week window where we can really capitalize and write business. So if you need to write, let's say, for example, and we'll just go with the example of 7 weeks. Let's say you want to write 100 apps or an AEP, right? Let's say it's your first AEP and you want to write 100 apps. You're going to need about 15 apps a week to make that a realistic possibility. So then break down how many leads do you need, right? Just crunch these numbers, and I'm always going to want to be conservative about this stuff. So that way I'd rather overestimate than under, right? Because if you under, you're going to be much more likely to not hit your goals. So let's say you have an average closing ratio for leads is 20%. I think that's very conservative, and I think it's probably actually pretty realistic. I've talked to tons of huge agencies around the country, and that's what their closing rate is. Like some of the top agencies in the country, like people that come on and they're like, I close 50, 60, 70, 80, 90% of my leads. You're lying, or it's very low volume, or something like that. So let's just say 20%. And some people might close more, but let's just be, like I said, conservative. So how many leads would you need if you're closing 20%? Well, I would say you'd probably need about 500 leads, because 500 leads, 20% of 500 leads would be 100 apps, right? And that's if you don't get any referrals, warm inbound anything through your advertising. That's if you don't get any layups or give me's during AEP, and you'll definitely get some. So even if you're under the 20% or whatever the case might be, you should be able to get pretty close. And you might not, and you can really make the income work by cross-selling, right? By just asking for additional policies. Even if you ask badly, you're going to do well cross-selling. Trust me on this. I was the worst cross-seller ever my first 2 or 3 years in the business. And, but what really got me into it, and then I started getting more strategical and better at it as I went on, but I just would ask, and I would ask very bad and very poor timed during the appointment and all that stuff. And even if you ask bad and you ask 10 people, you might still walk away with 2 of them that get a hospital indemnity, right? Or 2 of them that get a DVH, or 2 of them that get a cancer plan, whatever the case might be. And by doing that, you're covering them better. You're protecting your book, your business, right? Because we all know the more policies in the house, the higher your retention is going to be. And also it's going to put you in a situation where you're protecting your business because another agent's not going to be able to come in and sell them a DVH because you didn't, right? I couldn't tell you how many houses I went into when I was out in the field, and their Medicare supplement was perfect, right? Maybe I couldn't touch it, but their drug plan sucked. They weren't taken care of on their drug plan, or they didn't have a dental plan. And I would just squeeze that one policy in. A year goes by, they get a rate increase. I come back, I can roll it, right? I have that opening from that point in time. So make sure that you guys are utilizing your catalogs of ancillary products, because they're going to serve you well in so many different ways. And if you can write somebody on a policy and you can squeeze a few ancillary products in there, you're covering them better, you're fitting their needs, you're providing a service to them, and you're also increasing your retention with that person, increasing the relationship. So I would say there's so many great bundling trainings out there. There's no one better than Medicare Mom, Miss Galen Hendricks herself. She's got so much free training out there. I'm not going to go into a whole lot of that on this because there's so much out there. But the main thing I can tell you guys is just don't be afraid to bring it up, because I had that same fear as a new agent as well, as Joanna said, that if I brought it up, I might lose the sale, and you won't. You just won't. As long as you're not being a dick, and cramming it down their throat and trying to push them into it. But if you just casually bring it up, no one's going to be upset about that. They're either going to say yes or no. They're still going to buy the policy though, the main policy. And then just by bringing it up, you're going to trip into a bunch of apps, right? Just by bringing it up, whether you bring it up good or bad. And then the more you do it, it's going to get more second nature for you, and it's going to get easier and better. So I'll turn it back over to Joanna, and then I'm sure we maybe want to do some questions and answers and things like that. Anything you guys want to ask? And
so I was thinking about, I'm always thinking about something, but I was thinking about what I would have changed if I could change anything about my past. And I'm remembering my first AEP 2018, where I'm so painfully shy sitting there at Walmart. And some days I just wish people would walk by me, not ask anything, you know. But if I could change anything, it was to get out of my own way. Your fear is what's holding you back, like everything. Like, and I was talking to Justin and Brock about this the other day, and because I was just like, Justin, how did you get over your fear of doing videos and now doing conferences and public speaking? Because I'm trying to record videos, and I've shared this with Christian a lot. Like, I record a video and then I'll re-record it 20 times because I messed up and I stumbled on my words and everything. And, you know, Justin was telling me, he's like, you just have to come to an attitude of you don't give a fuck and just do it, you know? He's like, you just have to get that attitude of I'm just gonna do it and just do it. Just ask, just do the work. Wake up 9 o'clock in the morning and just do the work. Who cares if, you know, Christian is over here with a better video than you, whatever. And people compare me to all the other great influencers and stuff. And I was like, Christian and Justin, they have their own path. Like, my goal is completely different. I'm not trying to be in Christian's shadow, even though it's a great shadow to be in, you know, but like, how am I going to accomplish my dreams of moving to Costa Rica 9 months out of the year, or even full time and doing 100% remote? It's just getting out of my own way, asking for that annuities. Because you know what? In the past, I've said, well, I don't do annuities. My partner does, because Joe's the expert at annuities. Well, why doesn't Joanna do annuities? What's stopping me? Fear, right? So guess who's getting over her fear of doing annuities? Because I was so afraid of messing everything up, right? I was like literally passing money to Joe, you know, and, you know, he hasn't gotten rich off of it, but like, you know, a lot of agents, they'll pass something off and say, well, I don't know how to do this. Christian, can you do it? I don't know how to do this. Joanna, can you do it? Just get over your fear and learn how to do it, because you're passing up on opportunity. Opportunity is money, you know. I passed up on ACA for years because it seemed mind-boggling to me. It's the easiest app I ever write now. But like, I was just over my head, and I was passing up on opportunity because I was afraid of messing up. I was afraid of, what if I messed up and someone called and yelled at me or whatever, you know? Sales is not my thing. I come from a military and federal policy background. You know, sales is very unique to me. Learning. I still call, you know, other agents that are great at sales, and I'm like, what do you do in these situations? But sometimes you just have to go for it. And like Christian was saying, just ask the question. Like, the worst they're going to say is no. You didn't, you know what I'm saying? Like, hey, Christian, do you want to talk to my partner about moving your 401k? No. Okay. I didn't lose anything, you know? Hey, Christian, do you want to add dental to that? You know, like, he's not going to bite my head off, you know? But I used to be so afraid of just asking the question. I used to be afraid of dialing the leads, you know? And now I'm like, I was telling Joe last night, I was like, you know what? Give me all of your access leads. I'm going to actually call them, you know, because I want to buy that house next year. It's too hot here in Georgia to have a house without a pool. It's just crazy. It's just too hot here. And so I want to buy a new house, and I need to do the work and get over the fear of everything that's not going on, you know? So I'm going to say hi to everybody this AEP. I'm going to ask for the business. Asking for the business has been a lot. Asking for the check sometimes, you know, life insurance. I was riding with a life insurance agent last week, and I was like, you know what? I stopped doing life insurance because I was afraid to ask for the check. I was like, it was uncomfortable for me. And I was like, imagine if I keep asking for the check, how much better I'll become at sales and how much my income is going to change because now I'm doing better deals. So anyways, do we have Tracy Lounsbury on? Tracy, are you here?
I do not know. Let me see if he's here.
I wanted to bring him on real quick if he's here.
I don't see him.
Who is that? Who is that rollover? It just said iPhone. Who's that iPhone?
It's me. I don't know why. It's Mike Gillum.
Oh, hey, Mike. All right.
Hey,
So
Mike.
great example. You're one of my favorite annuity people. So, Mike, how did you just start asking for the bigger deals?
So, if y'all don't know my background, I was with, I was under an agency. I was LOA for an agency a while back. That's how I got into Medicare. That's how I met Ron Ray, and he kind of took me under his wing and taught me Medicare. But before that, we were running seminars, and I'll never forget it. Funny story. I was totally scared. I didn't want to get up there. I had the speech memorized. I knew how to present it. And the guy who was teaching me all this, we were sitting there having a drink, and he was supposed to give this seminar. We were sitting there having a quick cocktail beforehand to kind of loosen it up a little, loosen up our nerves. And he goes, "Tee up." And I said, "What do you mean?" He goes, "You're giving the speech tonight, buddy." And I spoke in front of like 60 people, and I bombed. It didn't go well, but that's kind of how that was my introduction to all this, and I had been, prior to that, I'd been selling life insurance for years, so and then of course my dad did it for 40 plus years before he passed away. So I just kind of grew up in this thing. But yeah, I mean, in terms of your fear, I mean, you just got to jump in there and just go. I don't know if y'all seen that podcast that I do with Eric Fierro about 3 years ago. I think I was about 37. And, that's what I said in there basically is exactly what you said. Don't give a F. I'm trying to work on my cussing, by the way. I'm getting better at it. It's hard. It's difficult some days.
Yeah.
It's not easy. It's not easy. I had dinner with, I won't say the name, but someone very, very high up in our industry about a month ago. And I was shocked because this is a person that's at the top, right? At the very, 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 very top of the industry. Like, they don't participate in the Facebook groups. Like, they're just in the shadows, right? And they told me, and that's he's watched a lot of my videos for a long time, and I was shocked to hear that. And he was like, I have a challenge for you. He's like, clean up your language. And that was like one of the first things he said to me at dinner. So I can understand. I'm trying to. It's hard.
Hot out.
Well, it's also a sign of maturity. I'm 40 years old. I probably don't need to be throwing F-bombs around as much, but man, this business will drive you bananas. I mean, I've had some tough times doing this, and you get burnt out and everything. And trying to get paid from various carriers and all this, and dealing with underwriting and suitability and just all these things. I mean, it'll really mess with your head, And I don't know if I have advice on that at all, other than just keep going, I guess. It's been difficult though. This thing is not easy at all.
It's definitely not. Like, one thing I'll share as well. Like, when I first started in the business, and a lot of you guys might know my story, but if you don't, I started working with my dad. My dad was the #1 Regents Blue Cross Blue Shield agent. Well, they weren't Regents back then, but in Utah for probably a good 10 years straight. #1 or #2, depending on the year. Like, he had a really good friend that they went back and forth. Some years he was #2, some years he was #1. But my dad was a very successful agent, and he came up in the 90s when, there was no social media, there was no internet, anything like that. I mean, there was internet, but it was in its major infancy. And I remember my first week, day one, we had some Medicare Advantage, Medicare Supplement training. Day 2, we were handed a cold call list and a script, and have fun. I was 20 years old, just AHIP certified, never sold anything. And I remember like my palms would sweat up right in the first few months of making calls. And it was just one of those things that, like, what I learned about calling, and Mike, I know, you've done as much cold calling as anybody I know. So I'm sure you can attest to this. Like, the more you do it, the easier it is to not give an F, right? Like, it's almost like a muscle. The more you do it, you work it out, you get stronger. You don't get as emotional, right? You don't get as high on the wins and as low on the punches in the face. And I probably did that for 2 or 3 years. Like, I never bought leads in my first couple of years. And if I go back and do it again, I would totally buy leads. I would have made a lot more money a lot faster. But what it taught me was how to dial and how to handle any situation. Because when you go from cold calling to working a lead, even bad leads, they seem like they're gold to you. You know, like there's like, this is great. You know what I mean? Like, and so I would say, guys, you know, every new agent, if you're new and watching this, or maybe, you know, if you're been in it a while and you just struggled, every agent has been in a place where they struggle. Everybody. Everybody on this call, everybody I've ever known, like, and they've been in situations where they felt nervous or afraid or scared. The difference between the people that make it and the ones that don't are the people that make it, keep pushing forward, and they don't let the fear defeat them.
That's good. That's good.
That's difficult to do.
Yes.
It is. And you know, I know that you've had a chargeback that was really like punch to the gut, right? But when you got that big chargeback, you had to just go back out and write more deals, right?
Absolutely.
It turned into 14,000. So yeah, it was pretty rough. I had multiple of them pop me all of a sudden, and it was brutal. I'm still paying it back.
So what had happened, to give somebody some background, is you did an annuity and the person died in the first year, right?
Yeah, which I had never experienced that. I didn't know. And then when I moved that money to his son, his beneficiary, that was another 7,000. And Athene, so the guy owed child support, right? Which that's not even on the application. So why would I ask him a question like that? Right. I had no idea, you know, and I've just never been through that situation ever. And then Athene said, well, we're not releasing these funds until he pays his child support. Well, then the guy goes and scrambles around to pay his child support. And then they release the money anyway, minus his child support that he owes. Yeah. So that pissed him off. And then he charged me back. And I don't blame him, you know, and I got very frustrated with Athene, because I'm like, hey man, like y'all flat out told me y'all wouldn't release these funds. And that's what I went and told this guy. It was a whole mess. But anyway, again, another example of a day in the life of an agent, and it can go south on you fast if you're not careful. And that's just something I've never, ever had happen to me in my, you know, I've done this 11 years and 4 months now. I've never had that ever in my entire career, or even heard of it happening to anybody. So anyway, fun times.
Something like that normally would have taken an agent out, and they normally would have gotten a job. You know, we've watched industry influencers fizzle out over the years. I remember probably about 2 years ago, a guy who was running a final expense group just disappeared one day, and I asked what happened, and apparently his downline had rolled up so much debt, it just became overwhelming, and he just got out of the industry. You know, we had somebody roll up 40,000 in 1 month to Joe before I was over there, and Joe would have such anxiety. I don't know if Joe's on the call tonight, but Joe had such anxiety because he didn't want to go tell his wife that somebody rolled up 40,000 in one night. And thankfully, Joe had the income to cover that. You know, not a lot of people have enough renewals and everything to cover such a big chargeback, because some of these companies, they don't let you make, you know, payment arrangements to spread out over the course of a long time. Like Foresters wants their money in 90 days or you're terminated. And it was actually Foresters. So Joe had 90 days to pay Foresters at 40,000. Colin, what they did was they did a lot of fraud. It was a lot of fraud, and the, you know, DOI and everybody got involved. But that's why we're always nervous about giving advances when someone starts writing a whole lot of mutual Omaha or something that pays before it's drafted. But yeah, Joe had that happen. I want to say it was in early 2019 or 18, something like that. You guys just got to keep going right business, you know. Thankfully he's still here and everything, but
that's the best way to deal with a chargeback, is just keep writing. I mean, it's easier said than done, of course, but so I remember last year, a very large predominant carrier, and I was very vocal about it. I don't know if any of you guys are in six figure, you probably saw it. I won't say the name. I don't want to get in trouble, but
starts with a U.
it might. But they changed their commission system, and So when I started in the business, I started as an individual independent agent. And in 2017, I incorporated, and I did a successor agent to all my commissions to my corporation, right? It's very common practice. People do it all the time when they create a corporation. And so they had a glitch in their commission system when they changed commission systems. And this new commission system wasn't paying out commission for successor agent commissions. And it took them, I believe it was like a month for them to fix it. Like it took some time. And so like 1 month, my renewals came in and there was like 10 grand missing. And I was like, I was just pissed. And there was another agent in our office. They, instead of leaving off clients for him, they actually issued him a chargeback for any policy he wrote from the year 2014 to the year 2018. Like took back every commission. Like it was insane. And so it was like this huge chargeback, and it was just a glitch. And then his renewals came and paid, and the renewals went towards the chargeback. So he didn't get anything that month. And he was like, I'm like, I don't know if I'm going to be able to pay my rent this month. Like it was serious for him, and for me, I was able to survive, obviously, but like I mean, you're expecting 10 grand in a month and then it's gone. It's a gut punch, you never know what's going to happen. And it's definitely a roller coaster at times, guys. And I think kind of comes back to what we were talking about at the beginning of this. Like if you have a big enough why and a big enough drive for why you do this business, you're going to deal with anything, right? You're going to overcome whatever's thrown at you, even if it seems insurmountable. Like I think if you don't have that bigger motivation, one of those gut punches might just take you out.
So I see somebody in the corner. I just want to bring on up Miss Patricia. You with us? Patricia St. Louis. That's your star, right?
Patricia's awesome. Yes.
So Miss Patricia, Christian was bragging to me the other day about you and your YouTube star. He says you have like, I don't know, a crazy amount of subscribers and everything. How can you just give us a couple minutes of how you became such a YouTube star?
Yeah, so I started my channel out with natural hair, loose natural hair. And I basically just never stopped. I never gave up. Like the natural community was like so popular, and like girls was having like 100,000 subscribers and all that stuff. And I've been on YouTube for 10 years and I just never stopped. Like I just kept making my videos. I'll get busy with work and I'm like, oh my God, I need to make a YouTube video. And it just built traction. And then I started doing a whole payoff mortgage journey. I paid off my mortgage in 3 years.
Nice.
Got a lot of traction from that. And then now I started with the whole, doing Medicare content on that as well. And now I started a new baby channel, Life and Med, strictly for Medicare. So I just don't stop.
So you have people they're in your channel and they're seeing you post and they're just inbound calling you saying, can you help me?
As far as like what?
Like when you post about Medicare or hair or anything, they're just reaching out to you to do business.
Oh yeah, as far as like agents, oh my gosh, I get emails every single week.
She gets flooded as much as me, probably.
Yeah, so I have a lot of agents from YouTube, and the goal is to get clients from YouTube as well. And I've woke up at 3:00 in the morning. I did an Obamacare video and I woke up at 3:00 in the morning with the lead. I'm like, what? Who's on here at 3:00 in the morning, So yeah, someone called me the other day, like, hey, I watched your video. At first I thought it was an agent. And I was like, okay, because I specifically say, do not call me if you're an agent, I want to know about insurance. I was like, what? Wait, did she say she want to know about insurance?
That's that moment where you're like, oh crap, this works.
Right.
Exactly. And then she's like, I feel like I know you already. So that's the good thing about video presence. People do feel like they know you because your personality is going to come out naturally. So they feel like they know you. So they're already like wanting you already, you know? It's just so amazing. So they already have it in the back of their mind. I want her to be my agent, or I want her to be whatever it is they see in front of, you know, their TV screen or computer or phone or whatever the case may be.
That's really good. Really strong, because it's attraction marketing, right? And, you know, like I was telling everybody, I'm the shyest person in the world, but I'm about to launch my own YouTube to talk about Social Security. Everybody's been bugging me to create a series. And I'm like, but I hate talking to myself. Like, I feel like I just ramble on to tangents and stuff. But I see, you know, you and Christian and everybody else doing it. And I was like, you know what? I might as well. I'm leaving money on the table by not doing it, and finding people who would never fill out a lead card, or who would never walk by my Walmart table, or would never find me online, right? Exactly. It's just a different way to get in front of people who would otherwise never be in your audience. I'm very proud of you, Patricia. Good job.
Thank you.
Patricia is awesome. Like one thing I can speak to too, guys, is like, I remember I started our podcast before I ever started any YouTube channels. So I started the Everything Medicare podcast in 2018. And I put out episodes for 6 months before anybody called us.
Wow.
And I'm sure if I went back and did it again, I could probably do it better, and maybe it wouldn't have taken so long, but I just was learning and figuring it out. Now we get probably somewhere between 5 to 15 new policies a month from the podcast. It's depending on the month, like just organically. And we don't even do as many episodes as we used to. It's just, we have this library of content that's just a force. And now it's just about putting out the occasional episode to maintain it. But the main thing is, you know, I'm not trying to pick on my father on this, but like, I remember when I first started doing that, my dad was like, "Why are you doing that? Nobody's going to listen to that." Like, you know, in my ear. And I believe that it could be something. I believe that, like, at the worst case scenario, we could put them on our website and it would just be good content. Like, I didn't ever expect anybody to find it and call us, but we get a lot of calls. And podcast is on about 15 to 20 different websites. I realized that it was good. We started putting the podcast on video version on YouTube, started putting out more YouTube videos on our Christian Brindle Insurance Services YouTube channel, which is smaller than Six Figure, but we get calls every month from that channel as well. And it's just about putting out content. Like, I think Patricia hit it right on the head. You just don't stop, can't stop. Even if a video gets like 2 views and you're like, nobody's watching, nobody cares. You just, doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. You got to keep putting out the videos. And I remember when the first time I ever talked to Cody Askins on the phone, he gave me probably some of the best advice I ever got on YouTube, because I hadn't made Six Figure Medicare Agent yet. I just had the one channel. We had like 30 subscribers. We have almost 800 now in that channel. And that channel's slow growing. Six Figures grown a lot faster, but because I kind of know what I'm doing now. But he told me was, he's like, if you, as long as you don't quit making content and posting it on your YouTube channel will be a success. And that just really stuck with me, because like, when it comes to insurance YouTube channels, there's really no one that's done it more successfully than him. And I think that's really great advice. Like, I think whatever you're going to do, where you put your time is where you're going to be successful. And if you don't quit doing that, it's going to bear fruit for you.
Very good. It certainly has started to bear a lot of fruit. I met you, Christian, back in maybe early 2019.
Yeah.
2 years later, internet sensation, wrote his 5th book. Mentors over 100 agents now. Yeah. It's amazing what putting the work in, like, grows. Like, I mean, even Nation Care, we grew from, I want to say 50 agents to over 500. If I count my ACA agents, which I do.
That's amazing. That's amazing.
Yeah. I was only counting the Medicare agents. I was like, wait a minute, I have all these ACA agents. And it's just from, you know, putting out content, like you said, like every one of our agents has found us and knocked on our door. I've never gone and made a Facebook ad or anything saying, hey, I need 20 more agents for Aetna or whatever. I've never had to do that. I've never made a LinkedIn job ad or anything like some people do. It's just making the content is what brought agents to our door. I'm grateful for that. I wanted to just open it up to the floor and everything. If you don't have anything else, Christian.
So
Christian recommended me to Joanna back in 2019. Yeah, that's how Jason Deems has found his way to me, is he found Christian. Actually, I think Jason found Scott Sims, and Scott Gates told him about Christian, and Christian told him about me. So it's,
the domino effect. Yeah. So let's see about Cody. I'm just going to read this about Cody because I think it's interesting. Cody built his fortune on YouTube. I was a broker with his dad's agency when he was just getting noticed. Always a big dreamer. Yeah, for sure. That's always been my impression about being around him too. Like, and one thing about YouTube channels too, and I'm sorry guys, if you have anything you want to say, throw it in the chat or raise your hand and we'll unmute you, and you can ask any questions or whatever you'd like. But I know with, YouTube channels, it's always, sometimes you think you're not going to get anybody watching because it's such niche content. And Cody and Danielle Kunkel and some other people that have just really crushed it on YouTube, they kind of destroy that stereotype. There's enough of an audience there for anything, and insurance is no different.
That opens up another thing. I was saying, well, there's Danielle's out there, there's Justin's out there, there's Christians out there. I don't want to just regurgitate the same content. And someone said, Joanna, Medicare, there's not so much regurgitation, but someone might connect to you more than they connect to somebody else. They might, and we've seen this before, right? Like you when you choose who you want to work with, you might, work better with a Danielle versus a Cody or whatever, I'm just putting names out there. And so go ahead and regurgitate the Medicare in you. You know what I'm saying? Be the teacher. I mean, we all have our favorite teacher. There's not so many ways you can teach rocket science, right?
No.
Because I was just like, well, why me? Why would anybody want to listen to me? And they might just connect with you better.
Well, because you're a superstar. That's why no one will listen to you. But so Susan had a good question, Joanna. So she said, it's my first AEP, so not a lot of confidence, but I'm excited. Should I buy leads or stick with Grassroots?
So my response is, if you buy leads, are you going to call them?
Good question.
Because I bought leads before and I never called them. Like bad Joanna. I spent a lot of money on leads that I would call through, and I would call through once, or maybe, call through a couple times, say, hey, I called them at 11 a.m. Tuesday and 4 o'clock Thursday. They never answered. Buy more leads. So I think if you are willing to learn how to call leads, and most places teach how to call leads. Glenn teaches how to call leads. Cody teaches how to call leads. Today, Eric did massive training on calling leads. If you're willing to get over yourself and call the leads and actually work the lead like a true working, because I've bought leads, I've given leads, and a lot of agents just call them once, right? I don't answer my phone, especially if I'm in a meeting. If I'm like with you guys right now, my phone's blowing up, I'm not answering it. So if that person never calls back again, like they're never going to get my business, right? Or if I don't understand, like somebody called me from a block number today, I'm never answering a block number ever. I'll respect your privacy. So I would buy leads because you can call those leads, and most of the time they need your help. And that's how I view leads now, is instead of being afraid of calling leads like I used to be, I look at the leads now, and I have stacks here. I look at these leads now and I say, Gary needs my help. Like he's not sitting by the phone waiting for me to call, but he needs me. Like I'm the best agent in town. He needs me, right? Even if you're not the best agent in town, you're brand new, but you can be better than some schmuck who tried to put somebody and a really bad plan, right? So that's how I call leads. Is I just tell them, hey, Miss Deborah's, she needs me. She filled out this card. She probably needs new dentures or something. I need to call her, right? Grassroots, I do a little bit of everything, so a little bit of everything works. Isn't that one of my friends says that? I don't know who I stole that from. Justin, maybe?
Justin. Yeah, Justin.
Right.
Everything works a little bit, nothing works a lot.
Right. So I have a Walmart that I'm gonna be in, even though I have, 400 agents or whatever. I still work full time. So I'm gonna be at my Walmart from 9 to 1 and 4 to 8, couple different hours, and I'm gonna call my leads, and I'm gonna do some events. I'm gonna do grassroots tables at some senior buildings. I have some hospitals that are gonna let me be in the waiting in the common areas, the vestibules and stuff. I think you should do a lot of everything. The more events, the more activity, your calendar is booked. You should look at your calendar and look for more where you can put more activity. If your calendar is empty, then you're going to have a really hard time paying your mortgage, right?
So I wanted to piggyback on that, Joanna, because I think that was all gold. And Colin, I see you raising your hand. I'm going to come to you as soon as I give my addition to this answer, and then we're not ignoring you. So keep your hand up. But I think Joanna's right. You don't want to rely on just one thing. I always teach agents you need multiple sources of lead flow. And especially if this is your first AEP, most agents, when they're new, are working with a budget, and it might not be the largest budget for leads. So if that's the case for you, I think you want to buy leads, but buy what you can, but also you want to have a mixture of maybe grassroots and leads, right? Because in this business, to get clients, you're going to give up one of two things all the time. You're either going to give up time or money. And at the beginning, you have more time than you have money. Right. When you're more established, you have more money than you have time necessarily. So it's going to fluctuate and shift and balance as you go throughout your career. But starting out, I would recommend maybe doing a mixture of both, but make sure that you've gone through the proper training to know how to call the leads. I was talking to an agent this morning who scheduled a call with me, coaching, and she basically got on the phone with me. She's like, I opened up a $10,000 credit card, and I'm thinking about buying like $7,000 worth of leads, but I don't feel like I know what I'm doing. And I told her, I'm like, then don't buy the leads yet. I'm like, because that scares the hell out of me when I hear that from her. I'm like, what I told her, I was like, you need practice, girl. So I'm like, go buy 300 aged leads for 50 cents a pop and practice on those. And then once you feel a little bit more confident, then buy real leads. Because if you just go out and buy, dump your life savings into leads, you might get burned if you don't know what to do with them. So I would say, make sure you know what you're doing. You want leads, but you also are going to maybe want to sprinkle in the grassroots stuff as well, because you might not have the budget to get enough leads to keep you necessarily as busy as you need to. So that would be my advice on that.
So if I was starting brand new again, I would, if I didn't have any money today, if my bank account was sitting on zero, I would, like I said earlier, go donate some plasma if they take it. I would find things in my closet that don't fit that I could sell on Facebook Marketplace or Poshmark or eBay. I would sell my kids' old shoes or whatever that they don't wear anymore. I would make some plates or something. I mean, people are so creative. This past year and a half, watching TikTok and stuff has really inspired me, because people created so many businesses out of their houses,
Yeah.
Like I've watched people wash dumpsters and created a business out of it. I've watched people make candles and create a business out of it. I watched people make businesses out of creating face masks, So many people just have to get creative. If you don't have any money, find a way to make money off of something to invest in the leads. If I didn't have money for leads, I would ask my upline and the carriers to co-op some leads. A lot of agents leave money on the table there. My Aetna broker manager called me and he's like, hey, I have a stack of money over here to co-op you on for this AAP, right? My Anthem broker manager was willing to co-op brand new rookies as long as you promised to write her some apps, you know. And then I would buy a 6-foot table. I would buy 3 folding chairs. So 6-foot table is about $40 at Walmart. 3 folding chairs, about $10 each at Walmart. A tablecloth at Walmart's about $15. And I would set up tables wherever somebody let me. So that could be outside of a pharmacy. That could be outside of the Dollar General. It could be outside of your church. It could be outside the auxiliary hall, the VFW. Ask every business and their mom if you could set up a table, if you can do an educational event. Everybody, like your calendar should be booked with events. If you don't have any money, you should have an event every day, twice a day, 3 times on Sunday, you know, because an event just has to be 2 hours. You know, it doesn't have to be all day. But that's what I would do. I would do that. I would pound the pavement and go see every dentist that took my D-SNP, every acupuncturist, every chiropractor, pound the pavement.
I love it. Colin's been very patient, so I'm going to
Colin is one of my
Colin.
new superstars.
Hey guys, thank you so much for this. Christian, piggybacking on the social media, because you're obviously very good at it. I have a question for how do you approach it? Because you've been doing it for a while now for a new agent. For example, I'm in like life insurance right now, so I'm transitioning into doing some Medicare. And as far as like personal branding, you know, I watch you, obviously, Boomer Benefits, Medicare Bob, things like that. And if you were just starting out, what I don't want to do is I feel like I haven't sold anything yet, right, with Medicare. So I'm afraid to really kind of brand myself with, let's say, a domain name that was some type of Medicare related. And then I kind of screw up people's policies, which I don't intend to do. And I'm going to call Joanna, obviously. But I just don't want to like brand myself and then screw it up and then hurt my brand and then try to like back out of it. So I was just trying to think maybe, you know, don't obviously focus on that until I've established myself. But maybe I could have a domain name with Medicare in there, and just trying to want to see what your thoughts were with that.
Yeah, great question. And appreciate your kind words on that as well. I would say I wouldn't worry about that personally. I think that when you're new, here's the thing. You have a great upline and mentor in Joanna, right? So when you have questions or you're not sure about something, you have one of the best people in the industry that you can call. And so essentially what I would hate to see happen is for you to hesitate at doing the work to kind of build your brand based on maybe a mindset of scarcity, just maybe worrying about something that hasn't happened yet. I would say every single person that has sold Medicare and sold a lot of it has said something wrong, or maybe, you know, froze up in an appointment or something, right? Just took a big punch to the face. And I think the main thing I think it's just part of the learning curve, right? I think it's just part of the learning curve. And I think for the most part, the best way that you avoid that is if you're not sure about something and you're talking to someone or meeting with someone, the best thing you can do is be honest with that person and say, to be honest with you, Mrs. Johnson, I'm not sure about that. I don't know the answer to that, but I'll find out for you. And people like that. People love to hear that because they feel like you're authentic. They feel like you're genuine. And I feel like as long as you do that, you're never going to screw anything up for somebody. Don't do anything unless you know 100% factual that it's right. Check sources, check with Joanna, check with different people, make sure that you know you're doing the right thing and it's not going to be a problem. But you're no matter who you are or what you do, you're going to make mistakes along the way. We all do. And I just think that, you know, unless I feel like there's very few agencies I've seen out there that I'll go like Google my business and they have like 1-star reviews and they have like 100 1-star reviews. Like maybe there's some out there. I just haven't seen them. I feel like as long as your heart's in the right place and you're doing the right, you know, you're trying to help the person and you're doing what I just said, don't do anything unless you're sure. I don't think that's going to be a problem. And I think branding your business is a great thing that you can do, especially if Medicare is what you want your future of your business to be. Waiting to brand it is not always going to be in your favor, in my opinion, right? And if you're branding it, depending on what you're trying to do, like if you're doing a YouTube vid channel, Joanna said it best, take a chapter out of the Medicare and You book and just put it in your own words. And you know how many people probably read the Medicare and You book all the way through? Not that many. And so no one's going to know it's from the Medicare and You book, and you know it's going to be accurate. So that would be my advice. If I could go back and do something different in my business, I would have started doing what I'm doing now 2 or 3 years earlier.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
One of the greatest influencers I'm watching in our day, in our industry, is my friend Scott Sims. And I lay in bed wide awake at 1 o'clock in the morning. I have insomnia, and sometimes the gummies take a little while to kick in. But I'm watching Scott, and even Gordon Marketing. What's Rebecca Gordon? Sylvia Gordon.
I think it's Sylvia.
I'm watching Sylvia Gordon, and they're just repeating Social Security policy or Medicare policy and showing you on the book. Like, I mean, Scott has a video that went viral, and it's just him reading the words on the screen with his finger, and he had like 16,000 views on it, you know? And I'm like, if Scott can make a video, a 2-minute video, just putting his finger under the words and reading the words on the screen, like, gosh, like, what am I waiting for, right? He was actually one of the ones who inspired me to get out of my own way, get out of my own head. Because I was like, Scott has been a Medicare agent for maybe 6 years now, and I've known him and everything. But I'm the Social Security, like, I worked there. Like, if he could do it and he didn't work there, I should be able to do it and, you know, and get similar results. I don't know, maybe he's just cuter than me or something. But I'm going to try. I'm going to try my best to get out of my own way and to copycat Scott. I'm going to copy him, because this business, I mean, it's flattery, you know. There's a lot of people who have YouTube channels. It's how you get in front of people, you know. People are going to look at Patricia and Christian and me completely different. They're not really like, oh, Joanna ripped that off from Christian Brindle. You know, they might never see Christian's show, right? There's so much content out there. I wanted to talk about, John says, when he started, I didn't mind telling people I was new at this. I told him I may not have all the answers, but I know where to get them. Very true, John. And I still don't know all the answers. And I still say, well, let me look at that, and I'll call you back in about 20 minutes. Okay. I will call you back by the end of the day. Because some things people ask are like kind of crazy, you know?
Yes.
And I'm like, even one of my own agents today, they asked me a very specific question about Social Security. I'm like, I've never seen that. I'm just going to have to research it by the end of the day, you know? You don't have to be a walking encyclopedia to be great. You just have to have a desire to help people and know how to get the answers. And you're going to be fine, Colin. Like, you're going to cross-sell Medicare to your life insurance clients and everything. And, you know, even when you do make mistakes, and I've made a mistake, I think I've been very vocal about how I had a WellCare complaint. I want to say it was AEP 2018. So my first AEP, I was invited up to Tennessee to a very rich retirement home. And I didn't know how rich these people were until I got there. And I saw that they had their own fancy movie theater and their own, you know, golf course. Anyways, everybody there was a millionaire. And one lady, she was paying, I think she was paying like $90 for a PDP for tier 1 and 2 drugs. And she hadn't changed her PDP in 20 years. And I left her with what I thought. And, you know, she called me back later to do the enrollment. And I was really sick at the time. I had my gallbladder failing and everything. And she called me multiple times. And the last call I got from her was, the application went through. Did it? Yes. And I said, yes, your application's fine. You're going to get cards in the mail. It takes a couple of weeks for them to process these applications. Well, January, I had just moved into the house I'm in now, had a flood in my garage, and I get a call and I answer it, and it was a WellCare investigator. And the WellCare investigator identified herself And I was shocked. She's like, I have a complaint against you. I'm like, against me? Like, who? I was like, I only wrote some WellCare PDPs because there was no WellCare MAPDs, and these people didn't buy any MAPDs. And so I was like, somebody complained about their prescription plan. Like, how did I mess that up? Right. And I didn't mess it up. She had such anxiety. She's 92 years old. She had anxiety about it working, and she lied and said that she didn't, apply. And I was just honest with the investigator. I told him the entire story from start to finish, everything I did in the house, who was there. She had her 92-year-old Marine boyfriend there, everything. And it came back unfounded, And even my broker manager, who's friends with me to this day, Laura Megger, she called me. She's like, Joanna, you're not in trouble. You're not going to lose your license. I just have to give you some coaching because you did one thing wrong. And I did do something wrong. I was a new agent. I used the Pearl, and I helped her use the Pearl. And WellCare says you're not allowed to help them use the Pearl. So I got coaching on that, right? But like I didn't lose my license or get banned from WellCare or anything. But there's teaching moments, And they know, the carriers have told me many times, because a lot of them are friends with me. David Burke, he's just left Aetna. My favorite broker manager, he says, as long as we know that you're not malicious in doing it, most of the time it's going to get unfounded and you're just going to get coached. If you make a mistake, it's okay. As long as you don't have a history of making that same mistake and it's not a malicious mistake. Like you didn't just go steal someone's PI or something, right? You didn't forge someone's signature, right? It's not malicious. So you're going to make mistakes. I made mistakes. Christian's made mistakes. I've wondered late at night, should I have told this person about something? Did I use the word free? Most of the time it's not your clients that are going to make allegations against you. It's going to be other agents. And we see it in the Facebook groups. I can't believe I saw this agent stole my client. This agent stole my client. Somebody wrote one of my clients last week. They didn't steal my client. My client cheated on me behind my back, and I called her on it when she called me to fix it, because she disenrolled from her Humana D-SNP to go to a WellCare D-SNP, and WellCare hasn't even mailed her a card yet, and here's the 10th, and she had a surgery today, right? But that was her fault. She cheated on me. The agent didn't do anything wrong. She cheated on me, So you're not going to make any life-changing mistakes. It's not like we're surgeons where you cut off the wrong leg or anything. Worst case scenario, you put someone on a HMO and their doctor's not a network, and we can only fix some things like that.
I've had a complaint as well one time, and similar situation really. I mean, it was somebody that what happened was we put her on a plan. It was a plan that had a premium. This was several years ago. And more or less what happened was she was absolutely cuckoo, right? She was freaking cuckoo. We've all had cuckoo clients, right? I've had infamous rants in Six Figure Medicare Agent about cuckoo clients. So she was cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs. And what happened was she was on the plan for about 3 months. She could not ever remember to pay her premium. So my office kept getting notified from the carrier, this person hasn't paid their premium. And so I would say my office would call and remind her, and then she'd pay her premium and all that stuff. Well, more or less what happened is she called me up and she's like, I'm tired of paying this premium. And this kind of goes with the recording call question as well. She's like, she called us up and she was like, what did she say? She's like, I'm tired of paying this premium. I'm not going to pay it. I'm like, okay. And then she signed up for a PDP with somebody else. I'm not sure who, and ended up on original Medicare. She had LIS, like that kind of stuff. So she used the SEP. Long story short, about 4 months went by. After that, I just kind of chalked it up. Was like, she had been a nightmare for us to work with. So we didn't fight that hard. She called our office every week about dumb things and, wanting to go see like organic doctors that didn't take health insurance or Medicare. I'm like, well, I don't know what you want me to do about that, but we've all had clients like that. Anyway, her policy canceled. 4 months later, she called me trying to use her card and it didn't work. she'd forgotten that she canceled or something. She completely didn't remember our phone call. And she called in and submitted a complaint against me to Regions Blue Cross Blue Shield of Utah. And luckily, I did record the phone call. And I had the phone call recorded. I had documentation. I had everything. I supplied it to Blue Cross. I told them the truth. I told them everything. And they sided with me. And yeah, I mean, a lot of it is just like that. About recording phone calls, we record every single phone call. For me personally, we never get rid of them. So we put them in our CRM in the client's file, every single phone call we ever have with the client. Maybe that's excessive. I don't know. But that's just something we started doing because I was tired of people saying, Christian told me this, Christian told me that, when I didn't. Now I have proof on every single phone call. And, we're working with seniors. They get forgetful, right? So sometimes you need that to cover your butt. I use Agency Block for my CRM. I don't know what Joanna and Nation Care use.
So we just got Agency Block, and Joe, I don't know if he's on here, but I think he would be proud of me. I would use it all day. I'm still learning it. I'm still trying to, maybe I need to shadow you on how you use it, but we just got Agency Block, not for our clients, even though we have a lot. So Nation Care has their own clients, and AMI has their own clients, and I have my own clients. I'm starting to use Eric Fierro's for my personal clients, but we use Agency Block for our 500 agents. When they call me and say, hey, do I have WellCare with you? I just was like, so I needed something fast. I was like, Joe, we got to get some technology in here fast. I was like, I can't. So Agency Block has been the saving grace for us. Yeah.
We got it for the same reason, because beforehand we were using, before that we were using Radius Bob. And Radius Bob, at least at that time, I don't know if they've changed since then, but they didn't have any functionality to have agent information in there. And we were working with more and more agents. Mm-hmm. And I had an Excel spreadsheet at the time, and that just wasn't cutting it. Mm-hmm. As we got more agents. And so we got Agency Block because it's just a dream for an upline, right? Because you can have people's license numbers, you can have a copy of their license, you can have their E&O, you can have notes, you can have writing numbers, contracts, all that stuff. Mm-hmm. What apps do you use to record calls? Does it matter if you use your cell versus a landline? So we use Ring Central for our phone system. There's a lot of good programs you can use. Ring Central is probably a more pricey one. But what I like about Ring Central is, the thing is with Ring Central, every single person you're going to talk to is typically overseas, and they screw everything up every single time. But once you get it right, it's amazing. Like, it can do pretty much anything, but getting them to actually do it is sometimes a battle. But once it's set up, it's never going to not be set up, right? It's going to be set up exactly the way you want it. So we use Ring Central. We have it set up to where every single phone call is recorded that we do. One of my admins at the end of the day, before she leaves, she takes all of the recorded phone calls on my phone, her phone, and the other admin's phone, and puts them into the CRM under that client's file at the end of the day. So we actually have to download the call and then upload it. There might be a way to do that automatically and use automation. If there is, I'm not aware of how to do it. Yeah, that's what we use personally. Ring Central has the capabilities of having a landline, which we do have landlines hooked up through the internet here at our office, but then they also have apps on your phone, so you can call from your app phone, and it's essentially on their end showing like you're calling from your office line, and then you can check voicemails, you can send text messages through, so it can do all kinds of stuff. It's really cool. It's expensive. I pay a lot of money for it, but it's a good program.
Awesome. I think we answered all the questions.
Yep. I think you guys are troopers. You went an hour and a half with us.
I know. Well, most of these are like my new agents. I see my Brian on here.
Well, this was good.
Anybody have anything else they want to share? This is for you. We just figured we would share what we were thinking the other day. I was like, you know what? I was like, my agents need to hear this. And he's like, let's do it. So game plan, guys. Take your calendar. Go fill up all those spots.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Now, don't wait until 10:15 to fill up the spots. There's plenty of people who you can interview now, get all their information, put it in Medicare Center now, even if they don't have an SEP now. Make your life easier for AEP.
Yeah.
And one thing, Christian, even if someone has the right plan and you can't help them change, I bet you no one has shown them a hospital indemnity or a cancer plan.
Mm-hmm.
So even if they're in the best Humana D-SNP with $5,000 in dental and a food card and everything, I bet you no one asked them about some life insurance,
Can I say something, Joanna, too? Nobody crucify me for this. All right, compliance can police what I'm about to say. I'm gonna share a little secret with you guys. We do it every single year, and it's not against compliance or anything like that. I promise.
You email everybody.
But so if you, let's say, run into somebody that's on the best plan for them, let's just say, hypothetically speaking, you feel like that's the best plan for them, and you're working with a carrier that, let's say, has multiple plans in the market, because there's a lot of markets that have that, right? They might have 4, 5, 6 plans, and sometimes the plans are ridiculously similar, like they're almost identical. One thing you can do is you can write them on that plan for 1-1, go back because they're your client at that point, an OEP, and move them back to their old plan for 2-1, and you're the agent of record. We do it every year.
If someone is dying to work with you, there was this one lady who calls me every year. She's in a United Healthcare Gold C-SNP, and I have not been able to get her as my client because I don't know how she's getting her medication so cheap. Like, I think she has one of those formulary exceptions, and Humana didn't have her medication for the longest time or anything. Anyways, I'm sure she's going to call me again this year, and I might have to do that. I might have to tell her, well, maybe you should go to United Healthcare Silver and then come back to Gold.
I mean, it's completely fine as long as you're transparent with them and you're like, listen, let's say I'm doing United Healthcare and they don't have an agent of record program. I can be like, listen, Mrs. Johnson, they don't allow you to change your agent. They're a company that doesn't. But there's a way that we can work together. And this is probably the only way that will work with this particular company. There's this other plan. It's strikingly similar to yours. It's just got a few key differences. I could put you on that for a month and we could get back together in January. There's another time period where you can change. We can put you back on your old plan. As long as you're off it for 30 days, then they'll let me be assigned to your account. And people are dying to do that because they probably don't have an agent, or their agent fizzled out of the business, or whatever the case might be, or they signed up with a call center or whatever. They're just not getting help. And they're willing to do that so that way they can work with you. And there's nothing wrong with it. And Brian asked, is that the only way to get AOR? No, there's certain carriers that still allow agent of record letters. It just depends on the carrier. Like Aetna does. I believe WellCare does.
And I think Cigna does too. Somebody was asking me that yesterday, and my Cigna broker manager hasn't gotten back to me, but I think Cigna does as well.
Yeah. Humana used to, they don't anymore. And then Patrick said, where do you get the 50-cent age leads that we spoke about? Age lead store is a good one. Depending on how old the leads are, it's going to get cheaper and cheaper. And I've also bought age leads from Secure Agent Marketing for $1 a pop. Like I'll buy them like 1,000 at a time sometimes. And in different markets. And then I'll just, it's something I can send to agents of ours that are just looking for some B leads, because sometimes they just need some volume. Right. So yeah, that's a way. How many states should a brand new agent be appointed with?
1.
Yep. That's my answer too.
So, and I tell my new agents this, and I have a couple of my new agents on now, but I think as a brand new agent, it's easier to learn and people are more forgiving face to face in your backyard. So yes. If I was doing my first 10 apps, I would not be sitting here trying to go, well, hold on, Ms. Jones, let me go look some things up. Because people on the phone are like, hello, what are you doing? Hello. And they don't see that you're running 5 different screens and you're calling your upline and everything. But in a house, people are like, oh, take your time, honey. I'm just going to go whip up some ice cream and make you a cake and fix dinner. And, they see that you're working when you're in the house. I'm talking to, where did he go? Brian. So I was telling him, I was like, try to run your first 10 locally before you go try to help people in California, because you need to learn the systems, and it takes time. It takes about 20 apps to figure out what you're doing and where everything is. And people are more forgiving in a house. My first appointment took over 2 hours, but she was sitting right there, and we were chatting back and forth. She told me all about her kids and everything. And unfortunately, she died the next month. She had metastatic breast cancer, but she was just rambling on face to face. And it gave me the opportunity to have the time to look up stuff, because I didn't know. It was my first application ever, and this is before Medicare Center and everything. So I had to call my upline. I had to do this, and people are more forgiving when they see you doing the work sitting next to you. So I would, brand new agent, you need one state, work your own backyard.
100%. I didn't pick up state number 2 till year 4. And that's because I was moving to it, Florida. So 100%. I think agents that are in their first year and they're picking up, unless it's your business model to try to sell virtually and sell all over the place, like I think agents that come in right into the business and pick up 20, 30, 40 states they're just spending money.
Right. I had another agent. She was in like 20 states, but she hadn't made any sales in years in those states. I was like, so you're paying all these renewals for state licenses you don't have any clients in. That's a waste of money. Like, use that money to buy more leads. Instead of paying $300 for another state license, use that $300 to buy leads this week.
There's a couple more questions on here. So Cynthia asked, how can you buy turning 65? Do you mean data? Like, can you give a little bit more on that?
Well, I heard that someone bought a list of people turning 65 and then sent them birthday cards and solicited them. And I never even knew you could do that. So I was wondering how.
Yeah, I mean, you can buy a data list. There's a lot of different vendors that have data lists. Lead Concepts has them. Target Leads is one we bought data list from before. If you're part of Integrity, under the Integrity umbrella, they have a really cool tool that will help you out with that that's free. But I won't go into too much about that unless if you're with Integrity, just talk to your upline.
Thanks.
Tina wants to know how to learn the plans. I read the summary of benefit from front to finish when my books arrive in the mail. I order, and Joe Chichola will tell you something different, but he's a phone agent, not a field agent. I order books because I'm a field agent. And they come to my house faster than you see them online on 10/1. So I just got books the other day. So it's 9/10. I already have some books showing up to my door. I read that summary of benefits front to cover dozen times. I make a chart myself because there's 35 plans in one county. And when someone says, hey, do you got a plan that has more dentures on it? I need to know what plan to put them on, D-SNPs especially. The D-SNPs only vary by the benefits. You need to know who has the dentures and who has the hearing aids and who has the food card and who has the utility card, because people say they'll tell you how to sell them. I am looking for one of those plans with a food card. If you don't know who has the food card, then you're going to sit there looking through all the summary of benefits on 10/15 trying to make them happy, So read your summary of benefits. That's one thing I did when all of my books came in. I would just read my summary of benefits and notate, put it on I have an Excel spreadsheet. I'm not ashamed of it. I'm very analytical, But I read my summary of benefits, and I can tell you by 10/15, I have them all up here. So when someone says, hey, I'm on dialysis, I'm like, WellCare Endurance, dialysis, $0, unlimited trips to the dialysis center,
Joanna hit it right on the head. I mean, when I was new in the business, I would go to work all day, and then I would come home. And you can ask my wife, we weren't married yet, but we were dating and we were living together. So she's seen everything from the beginning. I should do a video with her sometime.
You should.
I'll try to get her to do it. She doesn't want to do it, but anyway, I would come home in the evening and we'd watch a movie together or spend time together. But while we were doing that, I'd sit on the couch and I would be going through books of summary of benefits. And like, even to this day, when I'm talking to a member or client, like, or I'm talking to a prospective client on a phone call, I'm walking around. I pace when I'm talking on the phone. So anybody in the office can tell you that I do that. It's just, I have OCD or something, but I can't sit still. But people will tell you, like, I'm just walking around and they're asking me questions about something and I'll just be reciting it off the top of my head because I just know it, especially in my home base. And so that's going to be helpful to know it as much as possible off the top of your head, because you want to be quick. And even if you are a phone agent, you want to have a couple kits. For us, like, we do a lot of business over the phone, but we probably still do probably 40% of our enrollments from people coming into the office. So we have kits so we can send them home with something when they buy something. So it's just good to have you. And we got some Humana stuff the other day for 2022. So we want to order, even if you're just doing phone sales or doing everything, electronically, you probably just want to have at least a couple kits still.
I completely agree. I
think Colin was raising his hand again. I don't know if he's still on here, but
I don't see him.
Colin, raise your hand if you had a question and I missed you.
Christian, I'm here. I'll wrap it up because you guys are crushing it and giving us way too much time. But this was just back in regards to your social media presence. Are you getting more leads through your YouTube channel or through just being, like, I'm sure you're top ranked in Google? Is that kind of where you're getting leads from?
It's tricky because YouTube and Google are kind of simultaneous in a lot of ways, because Google owns YouTube, right? So like, when people search me, a lot of times they'll find our YouTube videos at some of the search, they'll find our YouTube videos in Google searches sometimes. And so it's hard to kind of differentiate it in terms of where they're finding us. I would say, in terms of how people find us, it's probably Google number one, from like the Google My Business and organic SEO we've built out on our website. And not to say that I'm a guru on that or anything like that, because there's certainly people out there that are much more advanced in SEO than I am, like a Justin Thomas or somebody like that, who I have a video coming out about Monday, by the way. So all of you guys should check it out on the YouTube channel, shameless plug. But I think probably our organic SEO is probably number one. A close second is probably our podcast, believe it or not, but that's just because it's been grown. We've been building it for 3 years. And then probably third place at this point is your YouTube channel. I instruct our staff to try to, as nicely and as gently as possible, find out where they got our information, because I'd like to know, because I want to know what's working when people call in. We probably get at least 2 phone calls every single day from somebody that found us online at this point. They're not all result into sales, but it's crazy. Like, I could never spend any more money on marketing or leads anymore, which I do spend a ton of money on marketing or leads. And we'd probably still get 1 or 2 phone calls every single day, 5 days a week, from people that find us online in some kind of capacity. But I would say it's kind of neck and neck between our podcast and maybe our organic Google searches and our Google My Business and things like that. But I'd probably put the Google a little bit of an edge.
Awesome. We had an awesome night tonight. I'm so glad I got to share one of my favorite pictures. It helps me dream even bigger, and it's what gets me through the hard season, busy season, when you feel like it's never going to end and you're not getting any sleep. Because I'm just going to picture being able to see when I wake up instead of putting my contacts on. That's my, like, I make these goals, so I have to hit it or I don't get the reward, and so.
I love it. Joanna, thank you for your time. And thanks for doing this with me. This was fun.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Christian. Let's do another one. And maybe even an AAP.
Yeah.
See how
Let's see
people
what
are
we can
making
do.
their goals. All right.
All right, guys. Well, thank you all for being on. Thanks for spending so much time with us. You guys are awesome. And yeah, this was a good time, guys. So we'll see you next time.